it starts with the end in mind. What
Yeah.
type of family do you want to have? Where do you see your children? Where do you see yourself and your spouse?
Okay. So how does this emotional intelligence play into building a strong family culture?
First way to solve a problem is you identifying that there's a problem. So once you've been able to identify that,
I have another wonderful guest even in the house today. And I'm going to ask her to introduce herself to us, who she is, what she does, and how she helps families to thrive. So please go ahead and introduce yourself this evening.
hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Oluwatoyin Ogunkanmi. I'm a family psychologist. I work with parents. I work with adolescents. I work with family members and organizations. I provide tools and resources to help them live a thriving life. And the good thing about what I do is that I step into a situation, I provide them with right tools especially from the Institute of Family Engineering and Development. I work with the parents. I help them to connect with their adolescents. I work with adolescents. I help them to find meaning to life and also to thrive. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. So I know that we have an expert who is going to help us to unpack today's topic. And like on this episode, we're always bringing you expert guests. So the topic before us today is how to build a thriving family culture that lasts, even when you don't come from one, or even if you haven't, emanated from such a family. And it means that the families we came from doesn't have to define the family we create. And we also know that, for a lot of people, for a lot of families, they run on autopilot, they run on survival mode. And this doesn't have to be so. So, the very first question I'll put to you today is that how can we help families to actually thrive? How can we build a thriving culture that lasts, even when, we don't come from one? Saying that, you know, what is that family culture? What does it mean? When we say family culture, what does it mean? And then how can we separate it from family traditions? We know we have family routines, family meetings, how do they differ? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So when we talk of family culture, when we talk of culture generally, that's when you say
Generally.
what is culture, in
Mm,
social studies, cultures we define as the way of life, the way
mm,
people do things, the way we
mm,
communicate, the way we solve
mm,
problems, the way we live, the way we celebrate, the way we handle conflict or show affection. That is
mm.
what culture is. But now bringing it into the family, what is it? Family culture is not just the routine, it's not just the traditions or things we do daily. It
Yeah.
has to do with your values. It has to
Mm.
do with the habits. It has to do with your beliefs, the emotional atmosphere of the family. This is what
Yeah.
defines what a family is. So your
Mm,
family culture is not the what, it's not what
mm,
you're doing, but it's the how you're doing it and why you're doing those things the way you're doing it. So
mm,
remember I said culture is the way we do things. But when it comes to family, why are we doing these things? How do we need to do these things? So things like how do we communicate? How do we solve problems? How do we
mm,
celebrate? How do we handle conflicts? How do we show affection? Or how do we even deal with pains? So it's everything has to do
mm.
with our values, our habits, our beliefs, and our emotional atmosphere. And you said
Wow.
something. How can we build a culture even if we didn't come from a place where
Yeah.
we had culture? I
Mhm.
also mentioned about survival and thriving. So let's say in the olden days, so when you talk about tradition, when you talk about routines, for me, I see that basically as being a survival mode, like the basic food. Yes, we have to eat food, go to dining. Yes, we have to eat food together. We have to do certain things together, watch film together. But why are you doing these things together? And that is where family culture comes in. Family
Mm,
culture explains the why behind the activity. So I think that's the difference between family culture and tradition. The culture defines the why and the how. So let me give you an example. In some families, yes, they eat meals together, maybe one meal a day, they eat the meals together. But when everybody's on the table, they're all busy on their phones, they're all busy doing other things, they're all busy being on the table, yet not connected. But when you have a family culture of connection, meaning that one area we connect as a family is we eat meals together. So you know that when you come together to eat the meal, you're coming together because you want to share communion. Let me use that word. You want to you want to connect with each other. So you are
Oh.
discussing, oh, how was your day? Oh, my day was excellent. Oh, tell me, how about you, daddy? Oh, my day, talking and you're communicating and you are having communion. That is the family culture. But the tradition is we eat together at 5 p.m. So 5 p.m., everybody comes together, doing different things on the table, but connecting. So the why behind eating together is connection.
I love this, love this, love this, love this.
So the why
Thank
behind
you.
eating together is connection, not
Yeah,
just coming together
absolutely.
to take
Absolutely,
the mark that
absolutely.
you've
I
done.
love
Yeah.
what you first of all said, the emotional atmosphere, that determines how we think, how we behave, why we do what we do. And I particularly love that example because I think that was the example I was going to give too. Two
Oh,
different families, they both eat at 6 p.m. But one of them used that time, as a
to connect.
connection time. I remember
Absolutely.
when my family was still very young, when my children were still very young, we had these habit of eating together at a particular time. Even if we can't eat breakfast together, we can't eat lunch together, we must eat supper together. And that's
Yeah.
the time we put our phones off, and then over dinner, we talk, how was your day? We try to connect. And I think, like you rightly said, it's all about the connection and it's all about the why, not just what we do, but why we do it. Thank you so much for that. So I'll quickly move to the next question, which is how has your family of origin, like I'm throwing this to you personally now, and I'll give an example, even from my own end, from my own experience. Your family of origin, how has it shaped the way you show up in your marriage, in your parenting, either positively or negatively? I remember quite vividly that, one of the things I grew up, or some of the things I grew up with, respect, discipline, quotes and unquotes, discipline, hard work. I took that family and those values from my family. But that value of emotional connection or emotional stability, I had to learn and unlearn what that meant. That was kind of the negative aspect. So for you, and with the work you do, what are the things that you can tell us has impacted you positively and negatively growing up from the family you came from? Over to you, Toy.
Okay, thank you so much. So thinking about this, yes. Okay, thank you. So thinking of food, while growing up, so in my home, my father has my father and my mom, they have just two of us, myself and my younger brother.
Wow.
However, we never grew up just two children in the family. We always had other people around us. So there's never been a time that we
Mm,
were just four in the family. We always had a family member, maybe one cousin or the other. So our home was always
mm.
filled. And
Filled with people.
one of the tradition in the home that, yes, filled with people. So that connection, having a lot of people around was something I never
Did you
assumed that
did
I was
you
going to
like
live in
it?
a home.
Having a lot of people around.
I never, I didn't see anything wrong about it then because it was
Mm,
what I grew up with. It was something I became used to. So funny enough,
mm,
with my early years, we didn't live in Nigeria initially,
mm,
but when we came back to Nigeria, yeah, so that was the only thing I knew. Up to
mm,
even till now, even if you go to my parents' house till now, they still have someone living with them. So I think
mm,
for that, I think that's one thing I've learned. The the act of having an open house. So people
Mm,
coming in, coming to celebrate with you. That is one thing I learned from them. Unfortunately, while moving to Abuja is not like that. That's where you have, you know, family members all around. So in my home now, it's just me and my children and my husband. So it's just so in the home I'm living in is a nuclear knitted family. But coming from my
mm,
parents' house, it was more of like an extended family where we had a lot of people. Even without my siblings, my cousins were around. Taught me is the fact that you need to be able to open up to other people, to help people, irrespective of where they're coming from. You need to be able to share your home with other people. So what would you call that? Hospitality. So that's one thing I've learned, hospitality from my parents.
hospitality. Mm,
Now, another
mm,
thing we've learned, another tradition or culture from my home is faith. You know, we wake up every morning. We had to do morning prayers. All of them, my parents,
mm,
we had this bell in the morning, and we all
mm.
come out and pray. You know, that was another family tradition. So our faith, hospitality, irrespective of where you are, it's you showing love. Yes, showing love to other people, loving people. Another tradition, another culture during Christmas or festive period, my parents will cook food and share amongst every. We do that once in a while here, but not like then. But those were and our faith really,
Mm.
really deep. Then apart from the other values and being honest, being disciplined. My dad is someone that loves to read. Things I picked from my parents that I'm actually using right now in the home.
Okay. Is there anyone that you feel it's not so positive that now you've had to unlearn, you know, and then relearn, and then you're taking steps to improve in your own family?
Okay, so I would say
If you
so
don't
this was
have,
one of
it's
the
all right.
no, I'm going to talk about no, I'm going to talk about it. That's why I laughed because
Okay.
that was what
Okay.
actually drove me into the family life industry.
Oh, the
So
family
the
life
yelling,
space, okay?
my yeah, the yelling, I realized that when I became a parent, I was also shouting and screaming like my mom. That's why I laughed. And, that was what actually took me into learning about emotional intelligence. I went for a course on
Mm,
emotional intelligence to learn how
mm.
to manage my emotions.
Manage the
And from learning about
emotions.
emotional intelligence, I just realized that there are other parents who are not able to manage their emotions like the way I was not able to manage my emotion,
Mm,
And from there, I said, "Okay, let me become a parenting educator." And that's how I found myself in HiFed, go and learn about the family system engineering course
mm.
certification. So that aspect of shouting and yelling, I think that was one aspect that I didn't really like
And I think that
because
is
it's
common to most of us.
so that was something I really
African
didn't like,
parenting.
and
Okay.
I found a solution towards it. So that's why I went for
Yeah.
emotional intelligence coaching. And from emotional intelligence coaching, I found myself in
Mhm.
the Institute of Family Engineering and
Yeah.
Development. I became a certified, I am a practitioner. So I think that's just one aspect I didn't like the shouting and
Mm,
the
mm,
and like I
mm.
said initially, the emotional atmosphere. So I think that was part
Yeah.
of it. Yes.
Yeah, of course, that would also affect the emotional atmosphere anyway. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. So, the next question I want to ask is for somebody who feels stuck and, and is saying, well, I didn't grow up from a family, healthy family model, so to say. Are there things that you can say to them to help them maybe to reshape or to rewrite their past or to redesign the kind of future they might want to hope to build?
Yes. So the first thing you need to understand is that if you've been able to realize that there's a problem.
There's a
So
problem.
for me, I tell most people that the first way to solve a problem is you identifying that there's a problem. So once you've been able to identify that, I didn't
Mm,
grow up in a home where all these family things, family culture,
mm,
you're on the step to getting solution.
mm.
And
Yeah.
don't feel bad about it because no, I would say those of us that were raised by in the 90s, in the 80s, I don't think most of us knew about family culture. I feel
No.
these are things just coming up. So,
Yeah.
but the good thing is that you need to know that you have to learn. So you
Mm.
have to unlearn the bad
Online.
things and you
Mm-hmm.
have to learn and you have to relearn. Basically, that's it. So you might not have like a blueprint, might not have like
Mm,
a template from your own home, but the good thing about it is that you can learn. You can look at families around you that you love what is happening
mm.
there, then pick from those families and create your own template.
Yeah.
So instead of you feeling stuck, you can recreate your family. You can
Mm,
transform your own home. You can change the things you didn't like about your home and turn them around. And one of
mm,
the things I tell people that whatever happened in your home was part of what actually formed and shaped you to become who you are today. So no, for me, I don't see any experience as bad experience. I just see that experience
mm.
as a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's like a
Mm,
learning opportunity.
mm,
Oh, I learned this, so I can actually unlearn it and learn something
mm,
new. So the first thing is that acknowledge that there's a problem of it. Acknowledge the
mm,
fact that you don't like what happened while growing up.
mm,
And I asked yourself, what do I want in my family? What kind of family do I
mm,
want to have? Then look around you. Who are the people doing the things you would love in your family?
mm,
How the
mm,
things they are doing, right? And redefine your
mm,
family. Write it out, learn these new patterns,
mm,
learn this. If you have to go and read books, read books.
mm.
If you have to come for
Like,
certification, please, IFED is there. The family system
it can
engineering
also work with
certification.
you.
And I can also work with you as a family
Yes.
therapist, family psychologist. So whatever it
Mm,
is you've identified,
mm,
you can solve the problem. There's always a
mm,
solution to it.
mm,
Then if whatever happened to you in your own home
mm,
caused any form of trauma, please,
mm,
you need to heal. Because
mm,
I had a conference over the weekend. I had a summit, Smart Parenting Child and Adolescent Mental Health Summit. I had it over the weekend. And one of the things
mm,
I said when I was giving my opening remark is that as parents, you
mm,
cannot, if you don't heal, you will bleed on your own children. So
mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
what you are seeing in your home or what you experienced in your parents' home caused a form of trauma for you, please, you need to heal so that you do not repeat the same pattern in your own home.
Mm,
So you need to heal. Don't so you don't bleed on your children. So let me so the first thing, acknowledge
yeah.
there's something you need to change.
Thank you.
The second thing is that identify what you want to change in your family. Look
Mm,
for people who have those things and emulate those things, write them out. Then learn. You have to go for certification, you have to go for training, you can read books, attend parenting classes, go for workshops, seek healing, it's very important. Then the fourth is that if your parental home was traumatizing, you need to heal yourself
mm,
before you start your own family. And if
mm.
you've already started your family, you can still heal yourself and correct
Heal
the wounds
while
you might have.
leading.
Yes, heal. I
Heal,
love that. Heal
heal
while
while
leading.
leading. Yeah, heal while
Absolutely.
leading. Heal while leading. Yeah, thank you for that. Acknowledge what is missing. Don't blame.
Yeah,
Identify what you want, and then educate yourself. Make sure you
hmm,
educate yourself and then heal
absolutely.
if it is necessary. Absolutely. Those are very fantastic points that you have raised. Okay, so let me ask, are there practical things that couples or parents can start doing now to build a thriving family? Maybe you can just give us 3 to 5 practical. Okay, I want to start
Mhm.
building a thriving family. How do I start? What can I start doing?
Thank you so much. So one of the things I tell the parents I work with is that you need to start with the end in mind. I love that.
Love that.
Starting with the end in mind.
Start with the
What
end in
type of
mind.
family
Mm,
what type of family do you want to have?
mm,
what type of
That
family
speaks to me like the
is.
vision, right?
Yes, so it starts with the end in mind. What
Yeah.
type of family do you want to have? Where
Mm,
do you see your children? Where do you see yourself and your spouse? What
mm,
home do you want to live in? What are
mm,
the things you want to teach your children?
yeah.
So have a vision. Then
Mm,
the next is you need to define what your values are.
mm,
What are the things that are important to you as a person? What are the things important to your husband as a person? Both of you should come together and define your values. Now, if you have children who are already grown and this is the time you're just waking up, your back proverb will say, whatever time you wake up is your morning.
Abi, yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
this is
But
the
what if
time.
our family, sorry to cut you short, what if our values are different? Maybe the husband and the wife are coming from different background, different
So that's why you
perspective,
need to come
different
together to
upbringing.
define. So that's why I say you need to define what you want as in your own family. So this is my own family, Taiwo Ogunkanmi's family. Taiwo Ogunkanmi's family is different from Taiwo's family and it's different from Toyin's family. This is
Mm,
Taiwo and Toyin together. So what do we
mm,
want as a family? What are the values we want to see in
mm,
our children? So
mm,
I will come up with my value, you will come up with your value.
mm,
Come together and let's see. Do
and
they
those values
align?
that serve who you want
If I,
to be, who you
yes.
want your children to be.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So these
Mm,
values, do they serve the people we want our children to become? Do they
mm,
serve the type of family we said we've envisioned?
mm.
If not, trash them out and we write the values again.
I like
Another thing
that.
is that if you have grown children, invite them into the conversation too.
Hmm.
Ask them, okay, what do you guys think? How do you work out? What do you want to, what type of home do you see? What kind of
Mm,
family do you want our family to be? You
mm,
know, this conversation with them, don't let it be just the parents doing
mm.
it, especially when you
That
have
that
grown
that that
children.
that speaks to the importance of family meetings, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm, mm.
So that's the first. So this that's the second. So the first is you need to have a vision. The
Have a
second is you need to
vision,
define your
define your
value.
values.
Then another thing you can do is your why. What's your why? What's your
Mm,
why for having the family?
mm,
When I have this training with parents, most times the first
mm,
question I ask them is, why did you become a parent?
mm.
Some will say, oh, I
You'd
became a
be
parent
surprised that
because
many didn't know.
say I became a parent because I became pregnant or my girlfriend became pregnant. Another person will say,
Automatically.
oh, I became a parent because I just felt it was time for me to start having children. So
Mm,
you need to know your why. Why do you want to have a
mm,
family? Because if you
mm,
don't have a why, it will be
mm.
difficult for you to have a vision and to have values.
True.
Now that you know your why, start
Mm,
creating daily connection or daily
mm,
moments. How do you connect? How do you guys come together as a family daily to go over those values you've discussed? How do you
mm,
guys come together as a family to identify what are the things we want? Because you need to have
mm.
this constant conversation. You
Yeah.
cannot just say, oh, our values are fearless, um, to be successful,
Integrity,
integrity.
compassion,
there
fun.
there should be a platform where these values are being taught.
Yeah.
And the only way those values can be taught is by your daily interaction. Your
Mm,
children are seeing you, the children are seeing, oh, mommy doesn't lie. Oh, mommy is
mm,
very patient. Daddy is very hardworking.
mm.
Daddy is fearless.
That
It's by
speaks
your
to
daily,
modeling.
yes,
You're
it's by
not
your
just
daily
having it, but you're
interaction.
modeling it to them. Mm,
Absolutely, absolutely. So
mm.
so that comes to you modeling. You need to
Yeah.
model what you want to see.
Mm.
And not just giving instruction, but let them see, oh, this is what
I
mommy
love
and
that. Not
daddy.
just giving
No,
instructions.
no, no,
Mm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things I tell, when it comes to culture, culture is not taught.
Mm.
Culture is taught, is caught.
Mm. Because it is
Culture is not,
seen, it is
yes. So it's not,
observed, it is lived.
yes, yes,
It is
absolutely.
who you are, who you become eventually because of the way things are done.
Absolutely.
Mm. Mm. Thank you
Then
so much.
finally, then finally, you need to have like maybe rituals or routines that are in line with the values and the vision you have for your family.
Mm.
So for example, if one of your values is, oh, we're going to, so like from our family, one of our values is having fun.
Mm. Yeah.
Having fun. And how do we have fun? So when my children were younger, we used to either travel to Vegas for Christmas to interact with family members and have fun. or during the holiday, we just create that atmosphere of fun where we do things or every Saturday. We just had
Mm.
touch points where we created fun for ourselves in the family. So whatever it is that your family values are or your family vision is, you need to have
Must be
tradition
incorporated
or
into.
rituals, yes, that
Mm.
will show the values and the culture you're trying
Mm.
to establish in your home.
Thank you so much, so much for that. And sometimes you might even you that you like fun, you might even have to have a budget for that because if it's a
Oh,
value,
yes, so
they might
yes, so
have
in
to.
fact,
And if you
I remember
value
there was a
education also, there might have to be a budget for that.
for reading, yes,
Because for you
absolutely.
to live
So
those values at times, you need to be intentional about
about them,
every
yes.
aspect
One of
of
the
it.
things we did, so one of the things I did with my children then, so me and my husband was that during the long vacation, we ensured that they learned a trade. Why?
Mm,
Because we just realized that you need to have something that you're
a
doing
skill, yeah, good.
as a skill, especially
Yeah.
when you're out of university, so that even
Mm.
if you don't get a job immediately, you have something
I
that you're.
absolutely
So
agree with
every
you on
holiday,
that.
they have to learn a skill. This last vacation, my daughter went to learn how to sew and she went to learn how
Wow.
to make perfumes.
Wow,
So,
wow.
so that's another
I
tradition in
remember
our home.
then that when my daughters, when they finished junior WAEC then, the
Mhm.
first one, we asked her what she wanted to do, that she needed to learn a skill, and she said she wanted to learn how to braid. And today she
Mm.
braids fantastically well.
Wow,
And the
that's
other
good.
one learned how to bake, pastries, meat pie,
Pastries and
and
all
all.
that.
So
Yes,
I agree with you on that. We really have to be intentional about these things. And, at the end of the day, those are the things that actually create our family culture and all of that.
yeah,
Okay, thank you so much for that. Yeah. So many couples have different upbringings and value. Okay, I think we have spoken to that already. So I
yes,
wouldn't want
yes,
to
we
go,
have.
yeah, go that route again. Yeah. So in rounding up, because I don't want to, we don't have the luxury of time today, so I don't want to keep us unnecessarily long. Okay, so how does because you mentioned something about emotional intelligence, and then I
Mm.
remember that you said you also did a course in emotional intelligence. So how does this emotional intelligence play into building a strong family culture? Can
Mm.
you help us with that? How
Yes.
does,
So,
yeah.
so when it comes to emotional intelligence, the first block or the first let me call it block in emotional intelligence is self-awareness. Your
Yeah.
ability to identify your strengths, your
Mm,
weaknesses, your triggers. And
mm,
for a family, we need to know what are our strengths as a family. If
mm,
we want to be emotionally stable or emotionally
mm,
intelligent as a family, what are our strengths? What are the things we are all good at? Let's identify that. What could be our triggers? So for me, when I started, my trigger then was seeing the house that was untidy and not well organized. That was a trigger for me. And what did I do? It was a big trigger for me then. So what I did was I had to ensure that my children learned how to clean up after themselves. And
yeah.
also, apart from the fact that I had one or two staff working with me, I had to teach them to clean up after themselves. So when the
Mm,
staff closes by 6, you take over from the staff. So identifying, being self-aware, very, very
mm,
important. Then the
mm,
second component of emotional intelligence has to do with self-regulation. How do you regulate yourself? How do you regulate your emotions? So you've been able to identify that whenever the house is upset or I'm disarranged, it gets me upset. How do I regulate myself? Yeah, these people are children. So it's not all the time I have to, put my claws and bring out my tiger mom thing. So how do I regulate myself? So I take deep
mm.
breaths. I go into the room when I come back from work. I shut
Taking
myself.
deep breaths. Mm.
Have I have my shower to cool myself down. So by the time I'm calm, I come out. Those things don't even matter again. So
Mm,
those things that were
mm,
like, so, "So why is your shoe here? By the time I come out, I've refreshed,
mm.
I've calmed myself down, I've been able to
So as
regulate.
parents, we need to learn to regulate our own emotions
Absolutely,
first. Know how
absolutely,
to calm down
absolutely,
when we are triggered, taking a pause, taking a break. Mm,
absolutely,
mm,
absolutely.
mm,
Then also using empathy. What does empathy means?
mm,
Putting yourself in situation. So for those who have small children, you cannot expect the work of so for someone like me that my children are out of the house. I cannot, what I am doing with my children, you can't do them with your children because your
Yeah.
children are still young. So you need
Mm,
to
mm,
apply empathy, putting yourself in the
mm,
shoes of your children.
mm,
These expectations, are they age appropriate expectations? These
mm,
things I want my children to do, or this thing I want my wife to do, or this thing I want my spouse to do. Is it age appropriate? Not just age appropriate. Do they have the strength to do those things? Is it within their area of expertise? Do you understand?
mm,
So that's where empathy steps in. You have to
mm,
think through this thing that this person is doing, or this thing I'm expecting of this person. Can this person do it? If no, then let's readjust the expectation to suit that child's ability and to fit the child's age. And
mm,
then the last is social so there's social skills. We need to learn social skills, how to connect, how to interact with family members. And it's important that we also teach our children how to interact amongst themselves, how to love
mm,
themselves. Let's take away sibling rivalry. Let's bring
mm,
in sibling cooperation.
mm.
Let's take away competition. Let's
I,
bring
I
in
would have loved us
cooperation.
to talk about that CB Riby, but there's no time. Maybe in
Yeah,
subsequent
next time. So let's
episodes.
bring in
Yeah.
competition. Instead of competition, let's bring in cooperation and
Mm,
let's teach them to, connect with each other. Very, very important. So that's how you use emotional intelligence in bringing
mm.
culture into your home.
I
Thank you so
absolutely love that. That means, in a nutshell, that emotional intelligence is kind of like the engine that drives family culture. Because if parents don't learn how to regulate their own emotions, there is no way they can even create that culture. Because I remember you even said the emotional atmosphere.
atmosphere. Yeah,
Yeah, so that emotional intelligence is very key in building a thriving family
family.
culture. And you said something about, okay, parents regulating their own emotion, empathizing with their children, and then when a home lacks,
Self-awareness.
yeah, self-awareness. Yes, I remember you also mentioned that. And when a home lacks emotional intelligence, it will lack connection automatically. So thank
Absolutely.
you so very much. This is where we'll be drawing the curtains. We
Thank
won't
you
be
for
able to
having
go
me.
beyond this because of our time. And I hope listeners out there have been able to glean on one thing or the other. And also, we would like for you to, if you really, if you found this very educative, we want you to please share, drop your review, and subscribe to our channel. So until we meet again for the next episode, we say bye for now. Thank you so much to our amazing guests. We really, really appreciate you. God bless you. Bye for now. Thank you.